And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 159 of the Good Old Bloody Thumbs podcast. Joining with me, as always, is C.H. Gorog.
Hey, howdy there, ladies and germs.
Who hopefully hasn't gotten all that confused, and hopefully I hear myself now. There you go. See what happens? Now that I
No, I apologize if
that was me.
I've done anything. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then shame on you, for shame.
No, you're good. I was still on that page, and I was telling you before we went live, it's like the audio's gonna start playing once I go live, and lo and behold, I'm the one that had that going. So yeah, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be back for March. Jesus Christ, like February went by so fast just because it's so like it's the kind of earliest month, the shortest month.
Hello.
Yellow.
I did something weird. Something really weird has been happening to my computer. My flash completely stopped.
Uh-oh.
So it's like it wouldn't play YouTube videos. I'm like, okay, I'll uninstall it and then reinstall it again. And it like I keep on downloading the installer and then it just won't install. So I'm either gonna have to buy a new laptop or figure something out because I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, that humanity! Can't watch YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean,
I know all those corgis unwatched.
I mean, somebody.
So yeah, good to be back. Yeah.
So how have you been faring, Mr. CH?
Fantastic. I've been doing fairly well. I'm looking for possibly some new employment and got some pretty good opportunities springing on up. And I'm enjoying some video games, and of course, who wouldn't?
That's good to hear. I mean, I've been kind of on the same route myself. I haven't played a whole lot of newer games just because of that. It's kind of the drought right now, but the games are coming.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be coming very, very soon. But I'm
gonna call you Ned Stark because you're gonna say some games are coming.
Yeah, that's what I was going by. I was getting that that vibe going. The games are coming.
Although I feel like just like Ned Stark will probably not actually be a witness to see them actually arrive.
Oh man, not if you're Sean Bean.
Yep. No, if you're Sean Bean or Danny Trejo, your contract is going to be pretty specific on the longevity of your character.
Yeah, they always seem to not stick around for very long.
No, I mean with Danny Trejo, I can understand it because there was a specific, like he was specifically he had a very rough background and he was arrested and he wants to teach kids that crime doesn't pay and that like the characters he plays, which are usually drug dealers or gang members or thugs, they usually get the short end of the stick or get arrested or get killed. And he doesn't mind ever being that character because he wants people to see, like, no, this is what happens when you're in that life. With Sean Bean, it just seems like, I want to play a character, but I want him to die in the most glorious fashion. So let's just do that always.
Exactly. It always seems to be the case. But yeah, like I was saying, the games will be coming very, very soon. And now with a couple of slight new announcements, there's definitely some things to look out in the horizon. Yeah. But I personally just haven't been playing much. I just really been replaying the games kind of I have right now. So some Mario Kart and Bayonetta 2. Oh man, I just discovered something while playing Bayonetta 2. It's the I don't know if because I wasn't paying much attention at that time I played it the original, but it seems like with that game for sure you get a lot more out of it by replaying it because I start to understand the plot to some capacity. Believe it or not. But
what form of LSD did you drop before finally understanding it?
I may have taken the same.
What strain of marijuana did you get from DC?
Yeah, I may have taken the same stuff that Grant Morrison takes, so I mean that may make sense.
Okay, dude, we need to send you to the hospital immediately. That's only for Grant Morrison only. You realize he's more drugs than man at this point in time.
I know. I had to indulge myself so that I can understand to some capacity the plot of Bayonetta 2, or just the series in general. But I discovered slightly. It's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. At the end of the game, once I unravel my mind and taken that deep hallucinogens that I've taken.
Mm-hmm.
Discovered by the end of the game, when it all wraps up, the game is actually a prequel and a sequel at the same time. That time travel, man. There's some time travel going on, and then the things that happen near the end of the game, it all ties up to the first game. So it's in essence a prequel and a sequel. That's all I got to say on that.
It's the 300 Rides of an Empire of Bayonetta games.
That's true. But I was just blown away by it. I don't know why. I thought it was pretty cool. I was
Yeah, I mean,
surprised that I knew what was going on.
yeah, it's surprise. Like even they're having this very interesting dialogue about surrealism on a video game website that I was contributing to, and it's weird just because Bayonetta is crazy. It has moments of very strange, like non-diegetic juxtapositions and stuff, but it still follows a logic to itself of how crazy things are and a series of events. And I haven't played Bayonetta 2, but it seems like they've got a better handle on the narrative and better kind of motivation, figuring out what's going on, and as crazy and as rambunctious as Bayonetta is, it still follows a narrative structure, a beginning, a middle, and end, no matter how divergent it really seems to actually have that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just one of those things you have to really stick with it and kind of pay attention to what's happening. And I mean, there's definitely a whole lot of lore in that game as well. I mean, as much as that some people will like dismiss that, there is a lot of like collectible kind of book items you can stumble upon, and it kind of delves into a lot of detail at some of the areas you go to. So it's kind of spreads that out. I mean, it's really how much you want to invest yourself in to the narrative and the lore to really get the full immersion of it. Uh-oh. Did we cut out? Damn. Maybe we should try Skype.
Yeah, I've gotten the Skype up now. I think it's just that I can't switch between windows of the Mix LR tab and the Skype, so I'm just going to try Skype for now.
Yeah, we can do that. I don't know why we always have that weird kind of delay in Google Plus for some reason. But yeah, I'll let you go. We'll try Skype real quick, and I'll keep the folks entertained while we go switch to that and see what happens.
You got it. I am off to go get Skype.
All right. Bye-bye.
Alrighty, I will be right back, ladies and germs.
And now we transition element to Skype. We'll see how this fares. I don't know why. We always have that slight issue with Google Plus. I mean, it's been really fine for us. We've been using Google Plus for a while. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I cut out, and sometimes CH can't hear me. So we'll give good old Skype a shot here. Maybe it's CH's Flash player that's causing this whole issue. So hopefully switching to Skype should be good. I mean, the only reason I did switch to Google Plus was that Skype was a little weird. Well, with all the updates and the acquisition of Microsoft with Skype, maybe this will yield better results, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to ask a question, Steve. I see that you're still in the chat. I would hope. maybe just chilling, eating a burger, feel free to ask any question you want while we talk, or anything that you want us to talk about. Squeeze me. So I'll give him a good old CH call. See what happens. Oh yeah, that's good. I know you're here, Steve. I just I guess you're just listening. Enjoying the show. So yeah, this will, I don't know, this is probably going to end up being on the podcast. I probably have to edit this out. But this is exclusive audio listening to right now, Steve Rome, that you won't get anywhere else. I see the CH is on now. Let me give him a call. See what happens. CH. Give it up. Ooh. All me. We'll see if this Mixler thing is gonna affect anything. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully. Hercules. Cool. So what's on your mind, Steve Rome? You excited for that? Mortal Kombat? See any movies? I haven't seen anything new. I'm trying to think. Not anything new in the theater recently. I rewatched Birdman again on my computer. I mean the theater. Wink, wink. And yeah, I mean if you haven't seen it already, I definitely employ everybody out there to check it out. I really enjoyed that movie. I mean, Michael Keaton really gave a great performance. I always liked Michael Keaton. I don't know why people gave him kind of a bad rap as him as an actor, but I really enjoy some of the work he's done. And I mean, you gotta love Beetlejuice. I love Beetlejuice. I mean, that was back when Tim Burton was actually good at making movies. Glad you enjoyed it, Steve. I told you. I mean, Birdman's a good flick. So let's give CH a call. I'll ask one more time. I don't know if he's getting me my calls. The anticipation. What is up? Oh, you sound clear.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing there?
You sound clear.
Great. I'm on my phone.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, it's strange. Oh, God, it's so weird because I got my iPad out here, but I can't figure out what my account number and password is, so I'm just doing it off my phone.
There you go. Might as well. It sounds a lot better, to be honest.
That's what I went to. I went to a bar. Yeah, it sounds really good. I went to one of my bars in North Carolina, Wilmington. It was a bar called Might As Well, for the alcoholic and poor student in all of us. Like, it's 10 o'clock. I just failed my test. I got to work in the morning. Might as well. Might as well. But yeah, so I'm all good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll even edit this out, but this is exclusive audio. I'm sure it's captivating for most listening live. So, yeah.
Oh, this is uncut. This is pure.
Director's cut.
Yeah. The extended director's edition.
Yeah, but I mean, pretty much to wrap up. I mean, yeah, I've been pretty much just playing Mario Kart and which is a lot of fun. I bought the DLC pack that comes with like Link and some bonus tracks. There's an additional pack coming out, I think, in a few months that has more maps that I decided what the hell and bought that. So I've just been kind of really enjoying myself playing that, doing some of that online multiplayer in Mario Kart, and Bayonetta 2 as well. I just recently finished playing it on. There's 3 different difficulty levels, but once you beat the 3rd difficulty level, which is the hardest one, you'll unlock another one which is even harder than that. And I can't say I had too much trouble with it, but the beginning.
Is it just?
What's that?
I was just about to ask. Is it like the hardest mode? Just like you beat the game. It's like, all right, now play the next hard difficulty, and it turns out it's just Dark Souls. It's just like the screen fades out, and then it fades into the Dark Souls screen.
You died once it started. I mean, I practically did. I mean, yeah, there's initially 4 difficulty levels. You don't unlock the 4th one until you beat the 3rd one, which is like the hard mode. But after that, it's called the I think like unlimited climax, which is like, I guess the hardest difficulty there. The enemies do more damage to you, and it's really tough. And it was tough in the beginning because you really have to be perfect in the beginning of the game, because you start out in the game with the basic amount of health, and you have to work your way up to at least unlock and gather items that increase your health. So the beginning was hard as shit. I died so many times because I couldn't dodge the enemy's attacks. Because I'm good at dodging, but I mean, I'm not perfect. I usually will at least get hit once or twice, but even then, you gotta be perfect. You gotta have a perfect run and not get hit in the beginning of the game. And I mean, it wasn't even the most hardest part of the game, but it's just the difficulty level that makes it a bit more tough. I can't say that it's not like Devil May Cry where the enemies kind of change, or you get different enemies that are tougher early on. It's about the same amount of orders you'll face enemies. It's just they do more damage to you and are a bit faster. That's really the only difference. But I'm enjoying it. I want to keep playing it just to kind of keep me going, and waiting for Bloodborne to come out. That's the one I'm going to get next for the PS4. I haven't even touched my PS4, which has kind of led me to believe that Jesus, there's a very far and few games that I even play on it. And this goes the same for like Xbox One. I mean, I still say I still say for folks who do get a PS4, this is probably next month is probably the best time to get one. But I personally would say Last of Us is probably the best game on the PS4, to be honest.
I would have to have similar sentiments about the Xbox One, especially with kind of the limited range. It's strange because it's either games that are multi-platform and last gen, remasters of games on last gen, and not a whole lot in terms of just kind of original content. And for instance, the best game that I've played so far specifically for the Xbox One was D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die. And that's a great game, but it's not worth buying an entire system for. Yeah,
I definitely agree. It goes to show you just how right now that to say that Last of Us is the best game on PS4, it definitely says a lot about the quality of that game, and just how on any kind of platform a game could be great. You don't necessarily have to get a whole new console right away like that to enjoy a game as good as that. You can just play it on the PS3, but it does make for sure a fair use of the hardware. So it definitely shows what the frame rate being about like 60 frames a second, just ultra smooth, ultra clear. It's definitely a great game. I mean, I can only really say about like maybe 3 games I would recommend for that system right now, but that being Shadow of Mordor and and Last of Us.
I mean, they made Shadow of Mordor and Dragon Age Inquisition for the previous generation with 360 and PS3. that, listeners. Because the visual quality between the two are night and day. It's not just like, oh, it's not as the textures aren't as good and I can survive if I just kind of squint. It's like, no, it's actually constantly jabbing you in the eyes like, hey, try not to notice this. It's like, oh, that's a pop-in texture. Well, that's the main character. He just has extra load and he's still popping in. Okay, whatever. And, just do that for get that for Shadow of Mordor and Dragon Age Inquisition for the next gen, because those seem to be the games that they had in mind for the next gen, and then just said, okay, we'll just make a little something to get some more money out of previous, which is why the new Mad Max game, I don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but they seem to have cut off the 360 and PS3 versions to focus on the new gen.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably the best move, because let's face it, I mean, there's going to be a lot there that they may even have to cut out or even work harder on to make it work on the last gen consoles. I mean, take Shadow of Mordor, for example. I've seen footage of it. It does not look pretty, even for a 360 game. I've seen better looking 360 games on there, but it's very bare bones. I mean, they took out the Nemesis system, which is mainly I wouldn't say it's the selling point, but it's definitely it was definitely the thing that stood out the most for that game. That I'd be curious to see if we will even see that again in other games, for sure. I mean, they probably will take inspiration of that system itself, but yeah, I mean, it was very bare bones, so it's one of those things where it's obviously not made for that console. So I mean, why even bother getting it?
Right. Mm-hmm. It's just so weird because, well, actually, you know what? Talking about Shadow of Mordor and the Nemesis system, that system was so good that even though people were getting upset by the company, WB, the publishing company, just kind of pushing them around, saying like, oh, if you want to do an early review, you have to talk about the Nemesis system, and people saying, come on, I don't just want to talk about the Nemesis system. Most of them praise the Nemesis system. It's like, yeah, I don't like being put in this position, but it's still pretty damn cool in terms of the Nemesis system.
For sure. It was strange because they put that game on embargo. I don't know why, but obviously it did very well, but it didn't necessarily have to be put under embargo at the last minute. It's usually they put those reviews out a week in advance, but they waited till, I think, release date to get those reviews out. But I would understand if it was some other game like Kane and Lynch 2, I would understand that, but for that game, it definitely didn't necessarily have to go through that phase, but through the word of mouth, and just, I mean, it's just simple. I mean, if it's a good game, people are gonna know about it, and it'll sell well.
Yeah, and the kind of bad ending aside, I'm looking forward to see what they do next, because it's interesting because they kind of got the visual flair of the Lord of the Rings movies, but they kind of delve into a lot of the more really obscure stuff with the Tolkien mythology. So here's hoping it becomes a great series.
Yeah, that boss battle sucked. I mean, yeah, everything leading up to it was pretty cool. Assembling like your army of like,
it was like
summoned.
It wasn't as bad.
No, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't it wasn't up to par for everything else that happened in that game. It feels like it was just like rushed or added on, because it just didn't feel right compared to everything else you were doing in that game. That was like really the only time you did like quick time events. Yellow.
Yeah, hi. It's
yeah,
for some reason I cut out.
Yeah, you're good now. So I just wanted to make sure you were there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. It's because it's really weird, because I don't like that when there's very few instances where the kind of inclusion of QuickTime events actually serves to do anything, and the usage of it in Shadow of Mordor is kind of weird, because they're supposed to be like, you can't beat Sauron, but for some reason, so they thought, oh, we'll have a QuickTime event to show that you can't beat Sauron, and it's like, well, you didn't really preface this with anything else. It wasn't like every single boss battle was a QuickTime event to beat them. It's just like, oh, we have no idea how to end this. Let's have a boss battle with a QuickTime event.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. I think
Mhm.
there's a new DLC that actually kind of enhances the ending of that, or there's a better boss battle. They kind of did the same that Deus Ex did with putting out uh,
Oh yeah.
putting out a kind of it was like a director's cut where they added and edited some of the boss battles and made them a bit more better to the actual game. Actually have it set up in a way where it would benefit your playstyle rather than just having it be restricted to one playstyle, and you invested a lot of time in playing a certain playstyle, and then you're kind of boned.
Mhm.
Especially the beginning, because it required you to be very elusive and fast, and have a lot of pretty much have a kind of a action kind of playstyle compared to the stealth. I don't know how you could even do that originally if you're a
Yeah.
stealthy character and not be really equipped in like armor, and that would suck.
Absolutely. And it's not like, okay, it's 50-50 between fighting and stealth. Like Deus Ex, it's kind of like 80% fighting and then 20% is stealth, and that stealth is essentially running up to orcs and then stabbing him in the head before fighting all of his other buddies.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah, it's the Bright Lord. I have not played that DLC, but I'm reading a review on Forbes, which very, very strange to see that, because Forbes is not exactly known as the video game mecca of the Western world. They say it's a kind of a letdown. So if that's true, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have to check it out myself. I mean, it definitely give me an excuse to replay it again. I know that they've been putting out a lot of kind of small DLC here and there after the game, some like different skins and other stuff like that. They've had quite a expansive DLC lineup after its release. They've kind of been spreading out. I think this is the last DLC that they got for this game. So depending on the price range, or if I'm in the mood to play it again, I definitely would check it out again. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm really into that kind of that gameplay. Very it's not really button mashing. It's to a point. You gotta you do mash one particular button, but it also requires some strategy and ability to dodge attacks. And there's a whole lot of new moves you unlock throughout the game that you can really go all out in many different ways to take out a group of orcs. So there's many different possibilities. That's what I always like.
Oh
It's
yeah,
very fun.
especially standing from afar and shooting an arrow at one of the Karagor cages to let him rampage and run crazy.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I can't say I have
Oh yeah, and
much else there to talk about for games that I played.
Steve-O Rome has also mentioned that Dying Light was canceled in the last gen version of the game as well,
Yeah, I've
and
really
that he
seen
got
thing.
the X.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's all you.
No, I mean, that seems like also a smart move as well. I mean, due to the whole like day-night cycle, I mean, that may require some additional. I couldn't see it pan out as well.
They can't have a time cycle as good as Dead Rising. I'm sad to say, they can't have you in the Willamette Mall as you wait to lead back survivors to your bunker and get angry at them because they won't take your handgun and just like run directly into zombies. Like, get up! Why do I need to help you to run?
Yeah, not my favorite in terms of having to do that. The whole escort missions, those are fun. Sometimes when you're alone. It was Dead Rising. Yeah, I didn't really get along with it too much, especially the second one. It was, I mean, it's very very arcadey, but it was too artificially difficult with some of those bosses. They were ridiculous, and I just didn't even bother wasting my time with them. They took so little damage. No matter what you did. So I didn't really bother.
That one is a weird series because apparently it's like continued onto Xbox One and it's like supposed to be serious and gritty. Why? Why do we need a serious and gritty version of that game? Did you not play the last two games where literally the second one is all about just a giant reality TV show, game show, endeavor, and then the first one was so tongue in cheek, the tip of your tongue is actually bursting through your cheek because like there's this, you're trying to pick up survivors and two Japanese tourists, so you have to get a book of you have to search in the book of the bookstore that you're in of like the English to Japanese translation book to talk to them, and for some reason you can suddenly speak perfect Japanese.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
always works.
that's a bit silly. Yeah, I know. I picked up one of those. I looked at a Babelfish, and suddenly I could speak Spanish whenever I went on.
Only in video games. I mean,
Only in video games.
I actually would. I mean, I actually prefer like to see another kind of genre game like that. I mean, definitely. Obviously, we know already that the zombie genre is kind of played out. I mean, I'm more than down,
Oh god, yeah.
Obviously, I'm more than down for another binary domain game. Oh, that would be good.
Hell yes. I was so sad that did not make gangbusters just because the only time I ever heard about that game was on a review of X-Play. But I don't know if it was Adam Sessler or Morgan Webb, but they were talking about the game. It was like, oh, it's fine, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of a run-of-the-mill shooter. It's like, and then when you play, it's like, oh my god, how was this not praised more? It's like, yeah, the multiplayer component's kind of bad, but besides that, it's just, whew, boy. I mean, it's like great written, like terrific writing, great gameplay. That's what I kind of wanted Gears of War to turn into, where kind of like the leap between Mass Effect 1 to 2. That's kind of how I wanted to see Gears of War go from Gears of War to binary domain in terms of how you interact with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it was really more dynamic than people gave it credit for. I mean, there was for sure there was definitely a lot more to it than just staying in cover and shooting. There was actually some strategy to it, especially some of the boss battles. You had to have really better aim than you would in other games. You just can't shoot. You just can't shoot in the direction of the boss. You have to shoot at a specific part, and then slowly but surely you see it's cool because during that process you see you're shooting the robot and you see the parts that you're shooting at start disintegrating and it's kind of falling apart. It's really this whole process of,
and you can use it for currency.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yes, and go to like these Japanese vending machines to upgrade your weapons. It's so.
What's the Japanese greeting? Like "Hariyo animasu" or something, like whenever you log on to it with the crane symbol, and it's just like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was just
why are these here?
Yeah.
Why are these dispensing guns? This is not Rapture.
Yeah, it was just very fun and very very Japanese in terms of like the writing for sure. It shows that how the Japanese view the kind of action movies, North American culture. There was that, and also just a whole different kind of, like I mentioned, the dynamic gameplay. How you can shoot the head off a robot, and the robot will start attacking the other robots and aiding you. So there's that dynamic into it, and it's just a whole lot of fun. And it was a good ride from beginning to end. I haven't played the multiplayer, so I can't really attest to that. But the single player is definitely worthwhile. Yeah,
it's kind of like Spec Ops: The Line, where it's like this wasn't really needed for anything other than a bullet point on the back of a box.
For sure.
And that's just too bad. It wasn't like Mass Effect 3 or BioShock multiplayer where it's like, oh, it doesn't really need it, but oh, hey, this is actually really, really fun. It's kind of like, oh, it doesn't really need it, and it's obviously doesn't really deserve to be here.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess to get on a particular subject, I know this was one of the topics of discussion we wanted to get into. It's certainly something that's been for a while, but with the whole controversy of the game length of the order 1886 on the PS4. I haven't played it myself because That's just
Right.
not because of the length. It's just that it wasn't something that was really appealing to me at the time. I would definitely check it out later on. It looks. I hate to say that because I hate. It sounds like I would play it just because it looks good, but it does look good. I give that. But it seems just like
You're a visualist.
I'm a visualist. I mean,
That's what you are.
maybe,
Yeah, you are racist against visuals. That's what you are.
maybe because I've been reading comics. I've been spoiling myself with just oohing and awing on the visuals, on the visual aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but the whole thing with that was, you know, I don't even know if anyone was really upset. Maybe it's just one of those topics of discussions that just somehow happened. But it was just about the game length. Apparently, folks been saying that you can beat the game in like 5 to 6 hours. That's pretty much about it. I mean, I personally, I would say that if you get a lot out of the game during those hours, I mean, it's definitely worth the full price. But to be quite honest, a lot other games, especially open world games, if you really boil down to it, some of the single player like campaign missions aren't that very long. I mean, you spend most of your time doing like the side stuff, and really some of the side stuff isn't really that memorable. So I would say that it's more about the innovation over the actual content of the game. I'm more down for a very well thought out and experience single player than just having too much content that really isn't even worth putting in there just for the sake of fluff, because most of that is just fluff. It's a lot of fluff.
That you could lay down, have a little nap there with all the fluff that's in there.
I know.
It's. I've what? Hmm?
No, sorry. I mean, honestly, to be honest,
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, recently, I mean, to go back on Bayonetta. Bayonetta is not a very long game. It can take you longer if you know, if you have trouble with some of the enemies or bosses, but it's not a very long game. My second run through, I probably beat that in like 2 hours, and that's just because I didn't really explore as much, or I just got used to the gameplay. You know, I got better at it, and I.
Does it have a new game plus?
It's sort of. You can. There's like three saves you can use. We pretty much, once you beat the game, you can continue on some additional extra bonus missions that are pretty much kind of like trial runs. You go through each stage, fighting enemies, and it'll keep going and going until you die. So you just get one health, you know, after you beat like a certain section, and you keep going off of that. So your health never really replenishes until you beat a certain wave of enemies. You got that, and with those 3 saves, if you beat a game once, you can pretty much continue on from your previous save and play a whole nother game. But it's not really going off of any of the stuff you have. You still have to earn the stuff you have from the first save, but it knows that you beat the game before, but you can actually choose different other characters to play, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. You can select new characters to.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is like a game like that. It's not a very long game, but you can. I mean, there's a whole lot of replay value. I think replay value to me is more important than the length of the game, and that's for sure. I mean,
yes.
you could definitely attest to this, especially with the new Devil May Cry.
Well,
you know how they mix things up and you're playing on the harder difficulty, especially with the Dante. One of the other difficulties where you die if you get hit once.
Oh god, that one was painful, and a lot of times I had deleted my memory and I was replaying it, so I had to replay it from the beginning, and I didn't have the. It was actually the second tier, the hardest tier, where it was like, and you had some health, but enemies would kill you with one hit, and so for me it was like figuring out, okay, how can I best use my items and resources, because I don't have unlimited health, I don't have unlimited devil trigger, so this is going to be pretty damn hard. But, you know, there is a lot of replayability in well-crafted games. For instance, like the Portal games. I mean, surprisingly, once you kind of master the puzzles and where you're supposed to go, they're pretty. The puzzles are quick, but the amazing thing about it is just because the writing is so good and the pacing is so good and the characters are fantastic that you won't notice. Just because like, oh, I want to hear Wheatley talk about this thing again, or one of my favorite things was to go and just see what kind of alternate dialogue options I had, like the one where Wheatley's trying to kill you, and you're flying, you're getting away from the meshy spike pit. He's just, and he just like, no, come back, and you're supposed to be running away, but if you turn around, he'll just go, to be honest, I didn't expect you to come back. I thought you'd run for your life. Okay, would you throw into that chasm below, and we can call it a day? And then you do. I was like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah, that kind
just
of
all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that kind of extra thought they put into the games. I mean, yeah, Valve does that perfectly, especially with kind of knowing, kind of having an idea of what if players did this, what if players did that. Having that extra added content there, because for sure it does take you out of the game sometimes, especially if you do things that the game would kind of want you to do in a certain way, kind of like a scripted event. But when they kind of also consider other options, if you were to like just stand there and not do anything, so they actually it was cool how they actually just react to you not doing anything compared to how they would want you to do something.
Yeah, Valve really good at kind of finding that player artifice, how they would control the situation and giving them different options. And I'm thinking about this, and I want to talk about one game before we jump back over to The Order, which is, I think, we both talked about, which is Wolfenstein: The New Order. And for me, it's fun finding those different types of alternate options that you could have, as well as the different timelines go through. Where the first one you have the Fergus and then the Wyatt timelines, where you can actually go and have different characters and different unlockables and various different things in terms of your play styles. And like for instance, with the Fergus timeline, you unlock like hot wiring, and then with the Wyatt timeline, you unlock lock picking, and you get to meet different characters. One of them might or might not be Jimi Hendrix, which is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you, like, just it's not really about the length. It's just really how you use the time you have, and just that that little extra detail and content to the game like that. I mean, it adds replayability is the way to go. That makes a game that much worthwhile for full retail price.
Yeah, and you can. I love the little messages, like the letters people send, or just a lot of the side missions are really, really cool. Like trying to take out the knife, or getting the medicine for the couple, or finding that woman's wedding ring, or just a bunch of stuff. Because a lot of it's also character based as well, and you could see it really fleshed out. Like the side, they could have just had like, oh, here's go get this folder, and then you go get the folder. But in the middle of it, you have all this character stuff, like Max Haas, which I love Max Haas. He's awesome, and just figuring out everybody while you're doing this, or just very, very like other stuff that just makes the world come alive, and like figuring out, and just stuff that just you do once, you never do again. Like I just love the fact that when you're playing on the moon, and you're in the base, you have that one Nazi soldier after you get scanned who just stands up and salutes you, and you can salute him back or not, but just that little touch of just exploration, like, oh, this is just an eager, naive young space cadet who wants to serve his country proud, and I'm going to blast him in the face with a little laser rifle after this, but I want to see how he does first.
That's how he wanted it. That's how he would want to go out.
If I got blasted in the face with a laser weapon, that would be pretty awesome to put on my tombstone.
Yeah, I guess we pretty much kind of covered that whole thing. I mean, there's not really much to discuss on. I mean, I think really that's where it kind of boiled down to. You shouldn't.
If it's good, we don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter about the length. So, I mean, it's how you use it. That's what my mom told me. Use that.
It's not, as Michael Caine said in Austin Powers 3, it's not the size, mate. it's how you use it. And I got to agree with Mike O'Kane, which is, you know, and you know, I think the big problem, kind of the sticking point, isn't that it was just it wasn't a short game, but the fact that, you know, it was saying like, oh, we're focused on narrative, we're focused on cinematography and writing, and then people were kind of saying, yeah, that's not good either. Because I was watching about an hour or so of it, and it's not the best writing. It's kind of, I mean, it's inventive just because, like, oh, it's steampunkish, new look at, like, England, and everyone's got facial hair, which is awesome. I'd fit right in. But even the women have awesome mustaches. And so figuring out, you know, that world, and it just not, a lot of it seems like, and it seems like to me, and it has been criticized by people who've actually watched or played the whole thing through, depending on who you ask, that it is just a lead-up for future games, and that it doesn't feel like its own standalone game. It's not like Binary Domain, where it sets up this big world that you can revisit, but you just happen to have a self-contained storyline in it. It just feels like, oh, this is the beginning setup, and they've been even talking about before the game was released that it's going to be a franchise, which is, you know, the first sign of hubris to me.
Yeah, it's from what I've heard from multiple sources that it does feel like it's more of a prequel than anything else. I mean, I don't know how people would have felt if, I don't know, they probably would have felt the same if this was a launch title.
Mm-hmm.
That may
I mean, because at launch, yeah, because it apparently, just from everybody, it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely stunning. It looks gorgeous. It's got this vibrant look, but you know, I think people would be more forgiving if that was at the beginning, just because like when they had Perfect Dark Zero go on Games on Demand for free, I played that. I was like, oh, okay, you know, people had kind of middling to good reviews of it when it was launched, but when you play it again, it's like, oh my god, this is not that good at all. Like, this is, you know, at the time, I guess people were just kind of wowed, like, oh wow, this is Perfect Dark for the next generation. This looks cool, but now it was just crap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess also maybe this is also a sign that maybe folks are actually expecting a lot more from their video games nowadays. That it's just not as simple as putting out a good-looking game doesn't have a whole lot of meat to it these days. You gotta really put your A game on when it comes to your games, or else people will spread the word quick, and you know, sales may not match what the investment you put into. It's really all about
for $60.
Oh yeah, for $60. It's really all about just how you're just what you're gonna provide, and it's really, you should just strive for maybe just more innovation than just, oh, it looks pretty. That's just the way to go. At this point, people are more savvy about this, and they're not really gonna give your game a second look if that's all you got. If it's a pretty looking game and not much else to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to at least make the playability as good as the visuals, because you know, good looking games come and go. Because, you know, for instance, we were talking about Portal 1 and 2. They don't look photorealistic in any respect, but just because of the artistry that went into it, the designs, the writing, especially how everything kind of came together, it's going to be a game that stands the test. They're going to be game series that stands test of time. But I don't know how the order is going to stack up 8 years from now. I don't know how it's going to stack up 2 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be just one of those. It's just like mostly everything else. But it's just a thing that people talk about for a little bit, and it just, you know, you don't hear from it again.
It's gone like an angel's kiss.
That's just kind of the way that it goes in the gaming industry. It's just crazy to think, even for good games, not to say that they get underlooked, but they spend so much time putting together, and then there's a lot of hype on it, a lot of people raving about it, and then you just kind of move on to the next thing. You get that,
I mean,
15 minutes of like ecstasy when it comes out.
Yeah, that is totally the way, because there's also I think Sony kind of had hedged its bets on this being a big new franchise like Assassin's Creed or Gears of War, where it's like, okay, we're gonna introduce people to these kind of new visuals, these new concepts, this new world. You just have to make it the first one good enough to stick, and I don't think they did that with The Order 1886 with with what they were doing. And do you remember Advent Rising?
No, it's been a while.
Okay. This one was that one was written by Orson Scott Card. Orson was the guy who wrote Ender's Game and the Ender series, and he was the one who wrote Advent Rising. And it was one of the last games developed by Majesco before their bankruptcy, and it was supposed to be this huge, sprawling... It was supposed to be the next Halo for Microsoft, and it was terrible. It was undercooked. The story was horrible. The gameplay was just all over the place, and so was the tone. It just, like, characters came and went. You didn't know where anything was happening. It was like it was this like, and the worst was they had this art design where all the characters were elongated, where they were much taller than actual human beings and kind of more slender and more stretched out, so they look cartoonish. And then there's this game about genocide, and you just can't take it seriously.
Oof.
Mm-hmm. And there was also $1 million giveaway that they canceled because there weren't as many people buying it as they thought.
Yeah, they put a lot of their eggs in the basket.
Yep.
That's why.
And they blew up the basket. Yeah. And the ending was just huge sequel bait, and it was so bad because they had their cinematics in the game. They were not sweeping camera, trucking back or panning to the right or dollying. None of that. It was just like really awkward freshman Gary's mod, looking camera angles where just like somebody who was actually in the game was just recording. If they just had a HUD and then just got rid of all the information and the guns and the arms, and then just like tried to record it like that, and with none of the and none of the tools to make it look cool, like for instance Source Filmmaker or the Halo theater mode. Imagine that. Those are your cutscenes. And you're just like, wow, I think I'd just rather like have a text scroll by my screen saying, this is what happened. This is what he said. And it's like, oh, good God. Why? It hurts.
Wow, that's crazy.
Make it stop.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much our thoughts on that whole ordeal there. We have about...
Hors d'oeuvre. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we got about 6 minutes in this recording. As you guys may know, we get an hour a session for this live thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just stop the broadcast real quick. If you wanted to take a break, that'd be fine. CH, just let me know. Just wanted to go and mention real quick before we go to that break. This will be a nice seamless transition when it's all finalized. But I just wanted to take the time to pretty much say, if you haven't done so already, check out the Audible podcast, the link that we're always sponsoring there, the audibletrial.com/buddythumbs. If you want to get a free audiobook, I mean that's definitely the way to go. Go to that link and you'll get a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. You won't get charged for anything unless you want to keep the service, but it's also gonna help us out. We're gonna get nicely compensated for that, and all that funding will go towards the podcast, whether it be any expenses that we need to cover, or just for giveaways. So it's gonna help you, help us, and also help you. So think of that synergy right there, ladies and gentlemen. Just go to audibletrial.com/bloodydhumbs and enjoy your free audiobook on us.
Absolutely. Yeah, and every month when you're signed up with Audible.com, you'll be getting a free credit from them and allowing you to get a book for free, an audiobook for free. And I don't know about you, Splinter, but for myself, I recommend Endymion by Dan Simmons, which is a sequel to Hyperion and Fall of Hyperion, which is the book series I'm actually very, very much interested in reading right now. So I'm just getting through that.
Oh, definitely. I definitely had to check that out. I actually have that on my Amazon wish list amongst a bunch of other crap I got on there. That's, I mean,
oh, nice,
I mean, for,
nice.
You know, for little situations like that, folks. I mean, if you want to listen to someone read you a book, I mean, that's the way to go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Other than
that,
yeah, just wanted to let you guys know on that. I mean, it's definitely going to help us out if you want to support the podcast in any way, or if you want to get just a free audiobook. Just go to that link, the audibletrial.com/bloodydhumbs. And we also, not to forget, if you guys are interested in buying some t-shirts of the podcast, they are available.
Get some merch
for as low as $11 plus the shipping. So it's not really that much. I mean, I tried to keep the designs, as good as possible. There's different kind of shirt designs. So I tried to keep the price as low as possible. I mean, pretty much. I mean, we're not getting any compensation for these shirts. That's how I've managed to keep those prices low on the site. So I mean, the lowest price you can get of the T-shirt is $11. So I think that's a pretty good deal. If you guys want,
we get return on
investments
with love.
Yes,
we get return on investments with love.
Exactly, and it's a nice design by Dranson. He's a very cool cat that used to be on goodoldspill.com with us. I mean, he took the time out to make that awesome design, and we just been going off of that ever since. So appreciate that, and I mean, there's been shirts sent out already. I would say there's probably like 4 or 5 of those shirts in existence. So if you want to look cool and support the podcast, definitely get the shirts at splinter47.spreadshirt.com. So you get your shirt there.
We're practically giving them away.
Some good old stuff. We'll definitely give one away, give 1 or 2 away, very soon. So keep your.
Oh, you know what?
Eye on that.
I got an idea for an impromptu. Special event, and the first one to contact either Splinter or I will win it. And so I'm sorry, got something caught in my throat. Now, one of the pioneers of video games has recently passed on. Who was this man, and what did he do? Who was your daddy, and what did he do?
That's exactly what I was talking
about. But yeah, so he was a pioneer. He was interviewed on G4's Icons, and he wrote a book and had recently passed away. Who was he? Contact either Splinter or I, and the first one to get the answer right will get a T-shirt from me. I will pay for the T-shirt, and I hope you'll look dashing and dapper in your new Bloody Thumbs T-shirt.
What a guy. So if you want to reach out to CH or myself, you can reach us out best on Twitter. He's at CH_Gorog, and I am at Splinter47 at the end there, folks. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break here. We got a minute left before this broadcast ends, and we'll be back quick. But we wanted to get that out there for the fine folks listening, and as always, we'll provide the links in the show notes if you're interested in participating in that merchandise, and also the Audible Trial sponsorship as well. So we'll be back quick, and we got 30 seconds, so we'll be right back.
We'll be back. Bye.
This episode of Bloody Thumbs Podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Bloody Thumbs to get your free 30-day service. It's also a free audiobook on us. Most importantly, it would also help out the podcast. You like the podcast, right? You listen to this podcast every week. Why not help us? Come on, this podcast is free. The least you could do is test out their service, Audible.com. Free audiobooks, man. 30-day trial. What more could you ask for? It's going to help us out. We can also do contests. Come on, man. We could, if you get enough money, we can get Chobot on the podcast. Wishful thinking. Go to audibletrial.com/Bloody Thumbs. And we're back, folks, from that quick break here. Everything's all fine and dandy on our ends here. So, in the terms of the topics of discussion here, did you want to talk about... there's some slight news going on this week. There's the announcement of the new Batman Arkham Knight game being rated M for mature. Mature gamers. Do you want to call it mature?
The jury's still out on that one, but it's especially if you're referring to me in terms of being mature. But that's an interesting move, just because I thought Arkham City was like as adult as they were going to go for the Batman franchise, at least for the video games. For the movies and the video games, they kind of got to scale it back a little bit more. I've read some of the Batman comics where they get into really like 7-ish territory where they just like dive in with both hands, and they have that Joker mini-series, which was really disturbing and disgusting and not entirely that good, but it was just like, wow, this is really hard R. And then with Death in the Family, they have Joker doing impromptu plastic surgery on himself, which is pretty disturbing, and that is not a good look for him. That is Cosmo would not recommend that.
Kramer.
But Kramer.
Cosmo Kramer.
Kramer.
Jerry, I just murdered a school full of children, Jerry. You gotta hide me.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Seinfeld recently, so I've been enjoying the goodness that is Kramer. There was like this one episode where I think he got like banned from the fruit store because he was complaining about the fruit. I can't enjoy the tangerines, Jerry.
I kind of... Yeah, I'm not the biggest Seinfeld fan, but I gotta say I do enjoy Kramer, because every show needs to have a good crazy guy, or the wild card factor in there. Just like everybody's kind of slight variations on a theme, and then they got to have the wild and crazy kid.
Yeah, I mean, I love Seinfeld. I'm a big fan of the show. I mean, it has its hit and misses. But I mean, it's
as every show does.
Yeah, as every show does. I mean, but I always find it's always consistently funny every episode. I mean, I can't say I particularly. I think most people would agree. Maybe it just depends on your type of humor. But like, I never was a big fan of like the beginning of every episode. With Jerry on stage telling some joke before the show starts. I haven't been the biggest fan of that, but everything else, like just the situations everybody gets in, and George gets in, I always find exciting. Just seeing just different scenarios that they get in there.
The family, the extended family is also great too.
Yeah. There's everyone is hilarious on that show. I like even the minor characters that you see, like Steinbrenner. He's always like going off on some tangent, and then George is like, "All right, I'll just leave," and he keeps on talking.
There was an episode where he was trying to figure out what he was said. Like, he went into the bathroom and he thought that George, like, he just reprimanded George for not listening to him.
Yeah.
And so when he goes to the bathroom, he doesn't hear what he said, so he's trying to decrypt like what he's saying, and he's like talking to Jerry about like a musical lyric and how that time ties into what he needs to do, and just like that, I like that. That's like very interesting kind of beginning of a more complicated narrative. So I do like the fact that it experimented so much with different types of stories that they could tell.
Yeah, and I did see that. I did see that episode recently, and the whole episode ends with, I mean, he still couldn't. George still couldn't figure out exactly what he needed to do, but the job that they asked him to do still ended up getting done. And then it turns out later, at the end of the episode, the guy he was talking to, he had Alzheimer's. It was kind of alluding to he had Alzheimer's, so he did what George asked him what he asked George to do, and he just forgot. So George just got away with that.
And that's pretty darn clever. And unfortunately, I haven't seen it in a while, so I'll turn on TBS and look at it. But going back to Arkham Knight,
Yes.
I don't know how that's going to affect the rating. Just because Batman doesn't kill, I don't think they're. It feels kind of weird to have the equivalent of an R rating for a Batman video game. They did that for. It feels even weird to do that for something like Halo, because Halo is not real. It's like there's blood and there's not a whole lot of swearing, but it's still rated M.
Yeah.
And it's a very kind of weird place, and I wonder if that was just like there was just one thing that kind of pushed it over the edge, and the ESRB wouldn't budge. But it'll be interesting to play the final game and see, like, ooh, maybe this really did deserve it all the way, or maybe it's just like, oh, it was just one thing we couldn't get rid of that we need to do. Like, if they have Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face look throughout the entire one, it's just like, ugh, you need to make this PG so you can just censor this entire other half of you. Just like the TV version of The Dark Knight must just have like a giant censor bar over Aaron Eckhart's like left side of the face.
I mean, honestly, I can't really think of what could be in there that would cause for like an M rating. The only thing I could think of is probably somebody gets shot on screen. I mean, someone gets killed. I mean, that's really the only thing I could think of. I don't really imagine any kind of nudity in the game. I mean, even across most mediums in Batman, there's not really any nudity in there. DC.
I would pay for an all nude mode.
All nude mode. That's for Batman.
All
right?
nude mode. Everybody. Batman, Poison Ivy, Penguin. Everybody's nude.
That make it that mod. But yeah, I mean, all across the mediums, they never really have any kind of nudity. They always try to make it. Always try to make the audience that reads the comics or watches the movie, they try to make it as broad as much as possible, not have anybody get shut out because maybe that they're too young to see it. But it's never. I can't see it being that. I'm thinking someone probably gets shot in the head, and that's really all about it. Somebody gets killed on Batman's watch.
Or maybe they reenact the scene of RoboCop where the guy gets acid dumped on him.
Oh man!
And Batman runs him over. He's like, "Ooh, that I technically, I'm not responsible for that one. He was already dead. I was putting him out of his misery."
Explodes into chunks on the windshield by the Batmobile.
Oh God. I just for the first time I just watched those two movies. I'm sorry, I just watched the '80s version of RoboCop and then the new version of RoboCop.
Oh no!
I have been missing out. Yeah, I have been really missing out, and I was just watching the original one. It's like, wow, I can't believe that's what people in the '80s thought the future would look like. Everyone's got spiky hair and denim jackets,
and like 3D
and of
glasses.
course, yeah, it's like, what style were they going for? It's like we want to have a rave, but we don't want leather. What's the next best thing to dress as? I know, lots of dark clothing with denim, and everybody's wearing sunglasses inside.
It's like the exaggerated '80s future they got going on. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, if there's some interesting styles in the '80s, That's usually
Yeah.
always the case. I always find it funny. Even like in Total Recall, it was kind of the same. It was very like exaggerated future '80s look. That's how they would think it would look like in the future. It will still be very laid back with the '80s culture by 2099. The '80s is still around. People can't give it up.
It is weird just because you have the 1950s imagining the future where it's like robots and the moon, like you'll have condos on the moon, and then it gets like progressively in the future, like to the 80s, it starts becoming like less fantastical. It's like, oh no, we just have cybernetics and a lot of our stuff the Spaceballs in the future narcs, and then eventually you get to like 2000s, which is like iRobot, and it's like, oh, this is still kind of tempered. Like, oh, this kind of could be possible, but still that like, no, this is still too fantastical. And now you get like District 9, where it's like, yeah, everything's the same except for this one thing. It's like, yep, that's as futuristic as we're willing to believe.
This sounds about right. I mean, I want some ectoplasms and some VidCons, man. Like Barkley, shut up and jam.
3 shells for.
God damn. But yeah, to go back on Batman Arkham Knight. I mean, that's really all I could think of that would happen. Don't say it, Steve. James Gordon cannot die. That mustache must live.
Yeah, well, it's one of those weird kind of places because no one can ever really die in a superhero story because everyone's either or Christopher Nolan movie, then maybe just because it's kind of a one and done deal. But they're not. I feel like they're not going to really kill anyone off. I feel like they're not going to do anything too drastic. If they did do that, that would take some swinging cojones to do. Just like saying, okay, you know what, we're gonna have maybe the Arkham Knight be Batman in every way except he kills. And that would be like an interesting dynamic, and people saying like, yeah, good on him. We need somebody who actually kills him, and be kind of, maybe he'll be Red Hood-esque. Who knows? But yeah, I'd very, very interested to see what he does.
Yeah, I mean,
and what the game does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to wait and see. Well, I mean, they actually, there's actually an interview with one of the developers for Arkham Knight. They were talking about how, I don't know if they said that they were surprised about the rating, but they were pretty much saying that it was just a story that they wanted to tell, and they kind of wanted to keep it that way and didn't really want to interfere with the writing and story they were telling in order to kind of make it a certain rating and have it accessible to the audiences that are going to buy it. I mean, to be honest, most gamers that may be underage to play M-rated game, they still get their hands on it anyway. So
still gonna get it.
It doesn't matter if it's M-rated Batman game, to be honest. But that's I like that.
Amazon
approach.
Ain't gonna care.
Yeah, I like that approach about their decision on that. How they didn't really alter the story to remove that ESRB rating. So there maybe there's more to it than just maybe a particular scene that gave it that M rating. Maybe there's a lot more than meets the eye. It definitely seems like
it's that all nude mode, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it seems like the whole nude mode is what everybody was clamoring for. I mean, it remains
Bruce Wayne just shows up as.
Yeah, I mean,
it's it's. I do wonder if they're going to do multiplayer. If they're going to do. No, they said they're just going to do single player, right?
They haven't really talked about any allude. They haven't really alluded to that multiplayer. Really, it's mainly just been about the single players from the footage they've shown in the trailers. That's really all that it's been about. I'm trying to remember. Was there any? I know they had slightly. They did have multiplayer for Origins. I didn't really hear anybody really clamoring or really praising it that much. So I mean, that was just, and that was also a different studio as well. So frankly, I it's probably best to say that there's probably not going to be any multiplayer in this. But from just from all the
Mhm.
footage I've seen, it seems like there's always the stakes are high, and Gotham's in in jeopardy. So there's that, and we'll see. I mean, some of the I know initially when the first trailer came out, the first CGI trailer, people were saying that people weren't sure if it was just like a prequel or it was set in a different timeline, but because some of the characters look different than the past games, it just seems like it's more of a artistic redesign approach than anything else.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. So maybe people are looking into it too much.
Yeah, people are really beholden to continuity things, and they're not willing to let go of them, even for this. And I don't blame them, just because it's if you're invested in a story and something's changed, then you're going to notice and you're going to wonder about it. For instance, as we were talking about, the Wolfenstein: The New Order is a sort of sequel to the 2009 reboot, and so that confused some people. It's like, oh, is it a sequel? Is it another reboot? And kind of the same with Halo, where Halo, throughout the different sequels, the character designs look different. The kind of the overall aesthetic of the characters are sometimes different. For instance, the Prophet of Truth in the second game, he's like, oh, he's well spoken, he's charismatic. I can see how he could be an underhanded sort of individual, and how he could be a villain. And then in the third one, he's like, I'm crazy. And then they go further in Halo 4. Every time they have a new Halo game, they kind of reinterpret the character design, or they reinterpret the look or the feel of something. So yeah, I mean, just reinterpreting Scarecrow or Poison Ivy, or I don't know if they're going to bring back Bane, but bringing all those characters back. And what was it, Killer Moth? That was he would. He was flying around.
I remember in Origins it was a villain called Firefly.
Oh no, yeah, Firefly.
Not sure if it's the same as in Arkham Knight from the last trailer that came out. You see a little bit more, kind of a glimpse of him and some of the other villains that are in there. Like you said, Poison Ivy
Riddler
is back, and Riddler's back, and he looks different. So it's all just next gen. It's a next gen game, and it's just a whole to make it better for that platform, and they use everything that they can for the resources of the next gen consoles. Just they had redesigns had to be made. I mean, even Batman,
heck yeah,
it looks slightly different, but it's just it's mainly just the armor aesthetic that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So Steve
it looks
says,
a lot more like armor.
Yeah, it's more armor, like kind of Iron Man armor, the way that it shifts and moves. Steve, you think Batman will kill for the first time? It may be possible, but the only Batman story I can think of, I mean, that he alluded to possibly killing was like the Killing Joke. I mean, you could take the ending of the Killing Joke as for what it is, but just the way that it was presented, definitely looks like he killed the Joker, and then making it that final story arc between him and the Joker. It's crazy to think that Alan Moore wrote that on a whim. It's like he actually stated that it was something he was obligated to do, and didn't really have a huge amount of passion to do it. But hey, even Alan Moore on his not so A game, he could write something amazing.
And it's like either way you interpret it, it's kind of disturbing, because it's either the Batman is strangling the Joker to death, or he's laughing with him at an absolutely insane joke at the end of a day where he essentially destroyed Gordon's family and himself and a psyche. So it's like he's either so cracked up that he's laughing with his bestie supervillain, or he's actually breaking his oath and strangling him. Like, either way, you can't really get out of that story with a happy ending.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been the subject of the debate with him and Joker on Batman possibly taking him out. I mean, even it's been alluded to also just in The Dark Knight Returns. Talking about him feeling some remorse for not doing something about them. You know, it's especially it was so chilling, especially in the love tunnel scene where you just start shooting up everybody in there. It's like Jesus Christ. It made you think. It make you second guess. Like, yeah, you gotta take him out, man. You know it's against your code.
Like,
but
dude,
Jesus Christ, you could save some lives by letting them die.
just take a page from Superman, a Man of Steel, and just snap his neck. Nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, how could you?" It's like, no, that one was pretty justified.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we got that there. I mean, again, I'm heavily looking forward to Arkham Knight and just a slew of other titles coming out this year. And speaking of newer titles, we got the official announcement today, even though it kind of got leaked a few days before. But we got the release date for Metal Gear Solid: Phantom Pain for September 1st.
Yay! Nice. Looking forward to that. Looking to Kiefer Sutherland's smooth, dulcet tones.
I'm very excited for sure. I mean, just the initial trailer alone, you know, it definitely was a selling point. I mean, Kojima always on point with those trailers, making them as epic and grand scale as he always does, making you hype, giving that hype.
It's also funny because he's got what is it? Silent or Silence, who's the female sniper.
You're right.
And no, Quiet. Quiet is her name.
Synonym.
Yeah, and it it's so funny just because it was like part of the reason why I designed her this way is just so that no woman would want to cosplay as this. And then, like, within a day, a woman cosplayed as that. And so I'm just like, dear Mr. Kojima, why don't you make a really hot woman who's completely naked? Signed, C.H. Korok. Trust me, no one's going to want to cosplay as this. Like, crossing fingers, come on.
This be the year.
The old new mode comes back.
Exactly. So, that's good. I mean, that sounds about right. It seems too far away, but to be honest, it seems like time flies by real quick. The last time I checked, I thought it was February, and then we got March already upon us, and not very long from now we get that new Bloodborne. I'll get to play on the PS4, that spiritual successor for Dark Souls. I am ready.
Yes.
Reggie Fils-Aimé would say, "My body is ready."
From how good it looks, I don't think anybody's body is ready.
Oh man!
It's also just a quick little something in there. The New Order, Wolfenstein: The New Order, is getting a prequel in the form of Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, which is kind of a it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. Prequel and kind of like, oh, you're fighting Nazis, kind of like a little bit more lighthearted than New Order. It's about $20. It's going to be released on May 5th, and it's coming to PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One. So, looking forward to that.
Oh, very nice. The price is very nice. So, down with that.
Yeah. So, not too many games on the horizon.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Did you want to bring up anything else that that's on your mind before we get to the questions? That sounds about the best time right now. I mean, it's really not. There's not really much going on, folks, in the realm of gaming that we could talk about. I know we always kind of delve into other stuff, and you know, we delve as much as we could at this time.
This one's not out of choice.
Yeah, you know, we got things. Got things going on. I did talk about a little bit. This probably wasn't. It's not going to be on the archive version because I was doing this before. I was doing a little bit of a pre-show. That was before we even started. So for people that were tuning in the chat room, you know, I was just playing some music. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, I bought me some more comics. Been doing some of that comic book reading. Nice. I've been really interested in getting together a small game comic book podcast to do like a short one just to kind of round about. Just kind of been thinking about it, rounding about like the month in comics, whether it be something that I've been reading that's maybe not necessarily new, but just something I picked up, and also going over. Maybe once something new came out this month. So I mean, the only thing that I do really read on a regular basis is the new Batman comics that come out every month. So the last one, I think it was part 4 of the Joker and the Joker storyline going on right now. It's the only one I really read. So definitely check that out for sure. Unless you want to wait for the trades, that's probably the best route to go. Not sure when they come out, but I just been really enjoying the storyline for that. You haven't read the Death of the Family yet, have you, CH?
Oh no, not yet. I want to so badly. I'm finishing. I'm going to get on it. I'm going to. Hey, tell you what. Do you know what I'm going to do now?
What you gonna do now?
I'm going to hop on Amazon and I'm going to order this, and it will arrive. And within, I'm not going to pay for speedy delivery because I'm cheap, but it will come to my door soon. And by the next time we have a podcast, will have read through the entire thing.
That sounds good, man. I mean, I think you'll really enjoy it. So I definitely would like to go back and forth on you on that. I'll definitely reread it just to re-immerse myself in that and refreshen up on that. So I'll definitely like to do that. So yeah, expect that to happen there, folks. Other than that, well, I guess we'll move into questions here. I have 2 questions here, and if you wanted to ask any questions, Steve, since you're here, I don't think you sent me anything, but feel free to shoot us a message on the chat.
I'm sorry,
what was that?
Is it a death in the family? Is it a death in the family, or
yeah, that's the confusing part. There's 2.
There's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. The death in the family is it's like an older comic. That's it tells you the original. It's the original story of the first Robin dying. So that was Jason Todd. So you want to get death of the family. You'll see it. It'll have the Joker holding his face. So that's not really
those crafty prepositions.
I mean, that won't be hard to find. It should just be death of the family. So that you'll be set with that on the trade paper.
Oh yeah, I got it. It's in my cart, and I will be ordering it soon.
Oh man, it's going on right now, live. CH purchase Death of the Family.
You see in history, ladies and gents.
I've been hyping this up for a long time, but I tell you, this is probably one of the best Joker stories to come out in a while. So it's definitely. I'm definitely hyping it up a lot, so I'll shut up, and you're gonna enjoy that when you get it.
I'm looking forward to it.
So, yeah, while you do that, I'll get the questions loaded up here. And
got it.
If you got one, Steve, again, feel free to send one in the chat, and I'll look at it for you. If you have any kind of question you have, whether it be gaming or anything else that you have on your mind, feel free to do so. This one comes in from Twitter. Got this in,
Alrighty.
Got this in from Tag Gibby.
Hello, Tag.
His question is, what do they call it? Why do they call it Ovaltine? The mug is round, the jar is round. Shouldn't it be called Roundtine? Oh man.
You know good and goddamn well that we are not prepared to answer that question.
I mean, that's the question that's boggled his mind for generations.
Yo, what? Okay, well, Ovaltine. Why is it called Ovaltine? I spelled called with a K. Okay.
Ovaltine. I mean, this is. It shows you a lot how
it's probably
how intense this question is, and if CH is looking it up.
Okay, it's from ovum, the Latin for egg, which it was originally developed in Bern, Switzerland, where it was known by its original name, ovomaltine, from ovum, Latin for egg, and malt, which were originally its main ingredients. Soon after its invention, the factory moved out to a village in Nieuwenegg, and a few kilometers west of Bern, where it was still produced. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, and then it was brought over, and it was called malt Ovaltine to rich chocolate Ovaltine, a version without malt in it, and then it became chocolate bars and yada yada yada, manufactured as PDQ chocolate flavor breads, in the 60s, and then drink mixes were very popular, and then that's what it was known for.
Well, there you go, Tag. For your health, as Dr. Steve Brule will say.
If you ever ask me that kind of question again, I will reach in through the internet and just slap you. All right, just stop. I'm not prepared for this.
So, thank you for the question there, Tag. And I got another question here. This is actually from my girlfriend Kat. Now, believe this, CH, she does listen to this podcast, and it's not just because of me.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I apologize.
She's a big fan. She's got her own Bloody Thumbs shirt that I hooked her up with. So nice to have that additional female audience out there. We've been spanning the globe for females. Like, do you play video games? Do you play video games? Do you listen to video game podcasts? Well, hey. She's a keeper.
Now we got somebody in the audience without the Y chromosome to mess things up.
And that is true. Her question is: you learn upon your death that when you die, you are reincarnated as an NPC in a video game. What video games would be heaven to you, and which video games would be hell? Now that's a good question right there.
NPC. I would probably MMO, like a quest giver, or a shopkeeper, somebody who like gets to interact with all the people and say, like, oh, well, you go over here, I'm selling this, or I'm doing this, and like World of Warcraft or the Old Republic. It's like, oh, it's a world of pretty fun time where everybody adventures and just. It's not a dark and depressing world. It's pretty darn good. And then you have the opposite side. Like the worst NPC, I would probably think to be reincarnated as is God of War, because the main character is directly encouraged to kill NPCs to gain beyond health. So I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that area.
For sure.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean that's I have so many different possibilities, but for especially like you said, with depending on the MMO, you probably will be safe from death, because some video games won't let you kill any NPCs, so that's probably the way to go for the MMO route. My heaven as an NPC will be I can see myself being a nice NPC in Mario. Maybe not like Goomba.
Oh yeah.
But maybe just a passerby.
A toad?
Maybe a toad. It's someone that could just jump on my head while I, just while I give them coins. So I'll be down with that.
Oh, that's silly Mario. Yeah.
So I mean, the world of Mario is so colorful. So I'd rather be in that than something like Fallout, where it's just too gray and green for me.
You don't want to be like. There are some people who are uplifting and just like still trying to make the most of themselves in the Fallout universe, and I say to them, why? Like it's not going to get any better. I don't care if Ron Perlman's narrating your life. You're not gonna do any better than this. I don't advocate suicide, but that would push me pretty damn close.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, but that would probably be my hell. I wouldn't want to be in a Fallout game, because I don't want to end up being one of those underground dwellers. Just stumbling in the dark, waiting for somebody to come and end their misery.
There was like the Legion of Jerry or something, like where you just there was a vault where it's just like full of nothing but clones of this one guy who have gone insane and are just like trying to claw at you, and that's a pretty bleak world. And or the worst would be to be a self-aware NPC in a BioShock game before the fall, because it's coming and no one's going to believe you, and it's going to happen anyway, and you can't escape. Because like depending on where this guy is falling. This guy is falling. For the love of God, stop throwing fire from your hands.
Well, yeah, that's definitely what I would go with. I think any kind of NPC in Mario, I think you'll be safe. You'll be safe there, and you'll get to enjoy the scenery. For sure. You may have to deal with with a couple of Goombas or maybe Bowser causing some havoc, but other than that, I think you're pretty good.
You don't really die in a Mario game, and then there's the whole theory that every Mario game is just really actors, just like playing out a fun adventure, and then afterwards they go play tennis or ski or do mini games, or just even if you're an NPC, like you get to play in the Mario Party games. So you got a pretty sweet deal.
For sure. And well, thank you for the question there. And we got we'll wrap this up with the final question from Steve in the chat. Pretty much asking, do you guys find repetitive gameplay fun or boring? Well, that's also a very good question. It really depends. It depends, Steve. Depending on what you're doing, I guess you could say to some effect, some fighting games or maybe some beat 'em up games are kind of repetitive in terms of like what they have you do, but it's just really about the way you tackle the some of the fights in that, and different methods you try. What kind of separates that repetitiveness from being kind of ultimately driving you nuts. But I'm trying to think of which repetitive game I could think of that is not really the most fun to do. But I'll let you answer that question while I think of an example.
Repetitive gameplay can be fun. For instance, although kind of repetitive connotates gameplay that you do over and over again that you find negatively affecting to you, I would say something like maybe the Arkham City games, where you play the Riddler fight games, the brawl games, where you just going after waves and waves of bad guys, and all you do really is just beat up waves and waves of bad guys. But that's incredibly fun gameplay because you got to watch out for the enemies. You're punching this guy, but then you can only defeat some enemies by using your cape to blind them, and then you got to stomp away their shield. And then some guys you can only take down with special moves, and you got to watch out for your counter meter to make sure that you counter a guy, or if it's 2 guys or 3 guys, and then there's going to be somebody throwing a chair or an explosive at you, and you always got to be constantly on the move. It's repetitive, but because of the nature of the AI and your gameplay options, it's never not fun. But doing something like, I love Mortal Kombat, but I can't go through that 2009 game, the story mode for each and every single one of the characters over and over again, just because I like playing this on a whim, but I can't force myself to sit down and constantly play a fighting game with one character until I unlock all their content. It's like, okay, I went through 10 fights as Jade, learning all the ins and outs of how to fight with her, and now I got to do that again with Sub-Zero or Scorpion or Stryker. It's like I can't put myself through that again. So thank you, but no thanks. What about you?
I'll add that I'm a beast with Stryker and Ermac, so that's all I'm going to say on that subject. I can't wait to play Mortal Kombat X. I'm looking to get into that fighting game rhythm again for sure. It also looks amazing. So I watch out for that. I may be playing that and streaming that. But yeah, like you said,
I'll see you online.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, for sure, like you brought up a really good example on how a certain type of repetitive gameplay can be fun, just like the Arkham games, especially that challenge mode. I've gone through that so many times and I just never got bored. I like challenging myself, and there's so much better you can get at those challenges that you just keep doing it and doing it. It just never gets tiresome. I mean, the only thing I get tired of is probably escort missions or most of the side missions in GTA 4. I got tired of.
No, for the love of God, Roman, I don't want to go bowling. Stop calling me, please. I don't care if you get offended. Just stop.
Gazin,
let's see some American boobies. You are just one really bad auto-dealing commercial away from being a stereotype, man. Just stop doing Eastern Europeans such a disservice.
Well, thank you for the question there, Steve. That was a good way to wrap up the podcast for tonight, folks. So this has been episode 159. Just want to appreciate everyone who was able to make it out here tonight live. I know it was like last minute to get this together, but for sure this is going to be just as enjoyable as it was live for you folks as it is going to be for those who download it. So hope you guys enjoy this edition and everything we had to discuss. You know, like we mentioned, we are available on iTunes. We got that going there. iTunes. Like those podcasts goes up there, and the bgb.com. That's really our main base of operations that we host a podcast on. We love it. We enjoy it. It's good stuff. And also follow, you know, the fellas over there at the BGB. They got their own podcast going as well that they do on occasion called Get Coins to Try Trying. So give them a listen, and you won't be disappointed.
You know it. Also, just remember, we got this sweepstakes going for the free shirt, so just listen back to the question I asked, and as soon as you get that answer in, the sooner I can get out your T-shirt, and I will joyously look for any submissions, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. So thank you very much for listening to my spiel, and I hope to hear from the right contestant winner.
Can't wait, and I mean the Blade Thumb shirts are spreading all over. CH already got
we already got a foothold in the female demographic with your lovely lady.
Yes, it's the brand is growing, and I already had folks tweet me a picture of the shirts that came in, so it's spreading like the wildfire.
Nice.
So get on that, and you gotta treat yourself as well, CH. I gotta hook you up with a shirt. All that good stuff.
Oh, you got it, man.
All that good stuff. So
I
can't wait.
Yeah, I don't know if they sell triple XLs, but you know, I'll see if I can just get the logo and just tattoo it onto my chest so that I can actually proudly show the Blade Thumbs podcast without stretching out the shirt.
I thought about that at one point, getting the podcast logo tattooed on me. But it's a lot of detail, a lot of colors. Maybe I don't want to go through that pain.
Just to mess with you, I'm going to say, oh, by the way, I changed all of our domain names, all of our podcast names. That's already done. So you need to get laser removal right now, and we have an interview in 5 minutes. So, chop chop.
Oh no, that's the problem. Anything can happen. It may be a rebranding. Who knows? That's the risk you take.
But hopefully that won't require, like Phil Spector, who went on stage with the GTA 4 logo tattooed on his arm. I'm pretty sure it was a temporary tattoo, but that would still be hilarious if it's just like, I got this bloody thing, and 8 years later, nobody recognizes what GTA 4 is anymore, and I was the guy who introduced it on Xbox 360.
Maybe not the best. Maybe not the best in the long run. It was a good idea at the time, but it hasn't aged well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Especially with the DLC, he's got to add a new tattoo every time they get DLC. Like, oh, bloody hell.
Oh, no. And on a side note, I mean, it's coming soon. I don't know I forgot what the date was, but the heists are coming 1 year later. More than a year later. Oh, CH is already...
More than a year. More than a year.
He's already salty about it.
I'm done. No, I don't care. We'll say it for next episode. I'm done today.
Oh, he's good. So, thank you again, folks. This is episode 159 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. I am Splinter47. Thank you all for listening. I'll be signing off. Enjoy the rest of your night, day, afternoon. Whenever you listen to this, take it easy.
Yeah, and I am CH Gorok, and I will be petitioning all future games for the next year to have an all-nude mode. So, wish me luck on that.
Best of luck. Kickstarter.
Yeah, oh yeah. If they can fund Tim Schafer's Broken Eggs, then I'm sure they'll fund mine. So it's all good.
Oh yeah.
So have a good night, everybody.
Good night.